Welcome to Parents Who Think, Danusia here. In today's episode, we're joined by the brilliant Meredith Masony, who challenges the idea that mothers have to die to themselves to be good parents. We'll also get into why it's so important to prioritise our own needs and desires, and how doing this can make us even better mothers and, more importantly, more fulfilled people in the world. Here's my conversation with Meredith. I hope there's gold in here for you. Welcome, Meredith.
Well, thank you very much for having me on.
Now, it's almost like it's a heinous crime, isn't it, for any mother to ever admit that she puts herself first. Why would that be?
I think it's because we've been brainwashed from when we were very young to believe that when we become a wife and then a mother, that we have to die to ourselves in order to facilitate the lives of those individuals that we are now caring for. And you can't have things that are your own interests, likes, dislikes, hobbies. You can't have those things because they detract from family. And what I believe is that not only is that so harmful to yourself, but it's very harmful to your family, because then they have a byproduct of a mother who's not a whole person. And that's scary, because as a wife and a mother, I want to make sure that I'm giving my kids and my husband everything that I am, and who I am as a whole person. So I think it's really awful, and I think it's easy to get swept up in, and it's very hard to break. But I think if we don't, then you wind up, after your children have left home, you wind up empty and unfulfilled because you don't know who you are and you don't know what you're supposed to do with the next days of your life.
Oh, completely. I mean, this process of dying to ourselves, when do you think it starts? I mean, because it doesn't seem to start necessarily in relationship, does it?
I don't think so. I think sometimes it does if you try to be who you think the person you're with wants you to be. And then I think what happens is you sort of become a chameleon, right? And you'll blend in and you'll do things that you necessarily wouldn't, or to gain the affection or approval. And then I think what men refer to as, after they put a ring on it, everything changes. And it's like, well, no, that's probably the person you married, but she may have painted a different picture prior to the wedding, because she was probably unsure if you were going to love all of her. I think we do that as women. I'm sure there are men that do that. I don't know. I'm not a man.
Oh my gosh. So yeah. So you're saying, but this kind of cultural thing of getting a man to put a ring on it, that's the big deal, isn't it? Isn't that the prize?
I think so. And like I said, I'm only thinking about these things as an American woman who grew up in the South, in Florida. And these are the things that I have seen, or that I believe to be true. I am by no means licensed or professional at anything. But what I do think is we're conditioned from our parents to believe that things are supposed to be a certain way. And then we are, kind of shoved into a mold. And then this process, you're told, well, you're going to want to grow up, and you're going to want to get married. You're going to want to be a mom. And then, you're going to become a grandmother. And it's like, well, but I want to do some other things in between as well. Is that cool? Like, can we do that? And I was totally going along this whole track of dying to myself and doing everything for everybody else. And it wasn't until I literally thought that I was going to die, when I got sick back in 2014, that I actually had the second thought of, if I die, did I do all of the things I wanted to do? And the answer was no, I hadn't. I hadn't even come close. I didn't get to do any of the things that when I was younger and I had all these dreams and aspirations of doing, I didn't do any of them. I wasn't, however, unhappy with who I married or my family. I knew I had my children, and I was supposed to have these children. I knew I married the right person. And I was happy that I had done those things, but professionally and personally, for the things that I wanted and desired, I hadn't gone after any of those things.
Why was that, Meredith?
Because I got pregnant right when I was getting ready to take my LSATs, and decided that it probably wouldn't be a good idea to start law school while pregnant. And so I took the easy way out and said, no, I'm just going to not pursue that anymore. My dad was like, well, basically, he's like, you're a woman, be a teacher. That way you have summers off for your kids.
Yeah.
And I said, well, okay, I guess that makes sense. So I went and I started teaching. And I always hate when I talk about this because it feels like I'm saying I didn't enjoy being a teacher, which is actually not true. I loved the kids and I loved being a teacher, but it wasn't my calling. I wasn't one of those teachers who hated teaching. It wasn't the thing I was supposed to do the rest of my life. It was what I was supposed to do then. And so I taught and I had a bunch of kids. And then I wound up, getting sick at 34. And so at that point, I kind of realized that I had not chased after the things that I had wanted to chase after when I was younger before I started having a bunch of kids. It's a very intense way to gain perspective, but it's the only reason that I'm doing what I do now.
Yeah, what a wonderful gift in so many ways that you had that serious jolt of sobering life, death, situation. God, what do you now make of the whole idea of being a perfect mum as opposed to being trying to be your best mum or even wife, by the way?
Well, I think it's funny because we were also conditioned to believe that we were going to take to motherhood and we were going to know what to do and we were going to have this like duck in water thing happen. And that's not what it is at all either, because there's no manual. Yes, you have gut instincts and you have, these inklings, but a lot of times you're so scared you can't even act on them. And so I think it's just hard because we think that everybody else knows what they're doing. And so we put more pressure on ourselves to do all of the things everybody else is doing. But everybody else is hiding in a closet and day drinking or wishing they were somebody else because they're so stressed out and they don't know what they're doing. And so it's just this whole big vicious cycle of striving for perfection that doesn't exist. As much as I love social media because it connects us, it divides us because of how filtered people share these filtered, beautiful moments. And they make you think that that's what their life is like. And so then you do all of this measuring and comparing and it's never the same. And so of course you're failing because look at their family vacation. And I'm over here punishing my kids on my family vacation. What's wrong with me? And it's like, well, nothing. They punished their kids too. They just did it 2 minutes before the photo was snapped. And here's the thing, like share whatever you want, but the psychology behind it states that you do that because you need that affirmation because you're feeling like a shitty person in that moment. So you put that picture out. I say, put out the picture of you feeling like a shitty human because other people are going to be like, oh my God, me too. I felt that.
Yeah. It breaks this whole cycle of inauthentic perfection when all it is this tiny slice of that moment, that quick moment where you did look all made up or your hair was fabulous. The kids weren't killing each other or biting each other or whatever it is. Actually, we all have shitty days. We don't all have, fabulous marriages. We have marriages that are real where you argue and not and all that stuff. If you're married, like, where's the kind of balance between it all?
What I try to do in my tiny corner of the internet is we share the good, the bad, the ugly. We share it all. Like I've posted, birthday messages to my husband or talked about how he truly is as much shit as I give him and as much shit as he gives me. He is my one person, my true soulmate. But he's also the person who we had this knockdown, drag out brawl that, several years ago on 4th of July that I thought was the end of our marriage. So the first 10 or so years of our marriage, I carried everything. I did the cooking, the cleaning, the laundry, the pickups and drop-offs for the kids, all of the school activities. He worked the whole time. I worked and did all of those things. He did not pitch in. He did not pretend to care or want to pitch in. He was a good dad. I knew he loved me, but he was a shitty husband in the respect that he was not carrying his weight in the house because of how much he worked. And I was basically told by people around me that just be thankful he has a good job that, is helping to support. And I'm like, but I work too. But why should I have to just suck it up and do everything just because he works more hours and he makes more money? Like we have to find some way to make this work because I can't do all of the things all of the time. And I kind of looked at him And I freaked out. I had never screamed that loud. I was shaking. And I was like, you don't get it. Like, you don't understand all of the things that I do. And all I want you to do is help me out. He had no clue why I was that upset. And I realized he had no clue because I would let him get away with not doing any of the things and I wouldn't talk to him about it. Instead, I would just eat it up, get pissed off, and be nasty to him instead of telling him why I was upset.
Yep.
So I started asking for help. I started telling him what I needed. He started to pitch in and he started to see all of the things that I was doing.
Do you think men in general find it easier to simply put themselves first?
I don't think it's because their brains necessarily are wired differently. From very early, I think men are just taught to take care of their need. And then after their need has been met, they could potentially go and take care of others. I just think that men are taught from a very young age to worry about themselves first. And we are taught to worry about everybody else first and then ourselves.
I agree with you completely. How do you put yourself first?
So I think self-care is absolutely important. I put myself first because I realized that life really is very short. So if I wanted to achieve the goals that I had in mind, I was going to have to put myself first at times. And that meant traveling and missing out on things for my kids. It meant staying up very late and getting up very early to work on business plans and social campaigns and writing a book. And I think part of me would have resented them if I didn't chase these dreams. And I don't want to do that. And so I put myself first because I think that when I put myself first, I'm a better mom and a better wife than when I neglect myself.
Yeah, exactly. Of course. So many women struggle with even finding any time. They lose themselves so much that they would see it as being incredibly selfish to want to still pursue themselves. And that's why this conversation is immensely inspirational. It really is. I love it, the way that you transparently talked about your marriage and all those years and you carrying everything and then you standing your ground and saying enough is enough. I can't fucking take it anymore. Help.
I mean, because we're told that we're not worth it. We're told from a very young age that we have specific jobs that we're supposed to do and the other things the men will take care of. And it is bullshit. Because there are lots of things that I am really great at, that you are really great at, that a million other women out there are really great at. And they have to say, no, I'm going to do this now. And it's my turn and I'm going to have a turn because I gave everybody else a fucking turn. So shut up and let me have a turn.
Exactly.
And that's okay. I mean, it's really not that difficult to look at your child when they are begging for something that they don't need. And you look at them and you say, no, you're not getting that. You have to tell your children when it's your turn and you need to let them know that they need to respect those boundaries. Eventually, I promise you they will. If I want to pursue something, I am going to find a way to make it happen. And if I can't find a way to make it happen, I am going to figure out and reevaluate what it is that I want to get done because I will succeed in doing what I intended to do. I don't care what it is. I will find a way because I have been able to find a way to make everybody else in this house's, little dreams come true. I will find a way to do the same with my own. And it's important that we do that. It really, really, really is because we are all worth it and we all deserve it.
And that's the nub of it for me is that we have to insist on ourselves. We really have to insist on what we need. We've got to stand up for ourselves and claim that space and time. And, we do deserve it. We deserve a life and the things that we want. Meredith, it's been a complete pleasure, this conversation. Lots of love. And thank you for this.
Thank you. I had a great time.
If you've ever been called selfish just for wanting something of your own, I hope this conversation helps reframe the entire damn narrative. You don't have to earn your right to exist beyond motherhood. You already have it. So take up space. Say no. Say yes. And let them all see what a woman who refuses to die to herself looks like. Until next time, keep thinking, keep loving, and for the love of all that is holy, take your turn.